Celebrating 5 years on YouTube as your live and interactive Sharks post-game show. This is Teal Town After Dark. Good evening, everyone. It is Saturday night, January 18th, 2020, and the San Jose Sharks have mercilessly hit the All-Star break and their bye week with a 4-1 Sharks losing to the Vancouver Canucks. This is Teal Town After Dark, your live and interactive Sharks post-game. We do this after every single game, home or away, win or painful loss. So if you want to be part of the show, you can chat with us and follow fellow Sharks fans in our YouTube chat on the page or the app. You can follow us on the social, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, SoundCloud, Reddit, and of course our Discord as well. And for more Sharks content, hit us up at tealtownusa.com. You are getting a triple broadcast, folks. You're getting Erik Landi and Reid. Ian, I'll start with you. Your initial take after this one tonight.
This was, every time you think that the Sharks can't have a worse game, they somehow managed to do that, and that was this game. They didn't put the 60 minutes in their last game, but at least they showed up to start it. This game they ghosted for 2 periods. It wasn't even a game for the first 2 periods. The Sharks made it kind of interesting in the third, but not really. Every time, like I said, every time you think this team can't find a new low, they find a new
low. Erik, you wanted to jump on to this last minute. Your initial intake of this one as the Sharks hit the All-Star break.
Look, tonight I think I saw for the first time visibly on camera Hertl stop playing in a play. I believe it was in the third period, he's behind the net and he gets cross-checked in the back, and the entire group looks at him, looks at the ref looking for that call, and the Canucks steal the puck and break out in a 3-on-2 really good neutral zone kind of press, and Hertl is still behind the net looking at the ref. He's just completely takes himself out of the play, and this team is visibly shaken, visibly upset, and I think insofar as the emotional morale of this team, I think it's hit the lowest I've seen it in the year.
Yeah, it's a tough one to take. What was the score of the Arizona game? What was it? 6-3.
6-3,
yeah.
6-3. You had a 4-0 shutout to Colorado, and then 4-1 to the first place Vancouver Canucks. My goodness, that's getting scored on 14-4. Even I think the other night was the first time I really saw that this is not looking good for this team to do any sort of comeback or even remotely attempt to, give a damn of sorts.
Yeah, no, I totally hear you, and I feel like, we're seeing some definite comments in the chat. Anthony saying, let's see how you would respond after being cross-checked. Don't point Hertl out, saying he gave up. I think my initial take or observation is just that the team is searching for something on plays. That's what it seems like. It's every time they gain into the zone, they know that it's going to get stripped and it's going to be going the other way. It's representative in their forecheck. You just look at their forecheck and it peters out. You look at their back checks and they're starting to peter out on their back checks. And this was, the hallmark of a good two-way team, a good two-way Sharks team. That's how their coaches want them to play, is that 200-foot style game. And they're just not doing it anymore, and to me, it's frustration. I think at this point, I think it's that they're so far in the hole they can't get out, and they know it. So, I don't know what else to tell you, but they're searching for something. They're looking for calls. They're looking for the play to be given to them. They're looking for the success that they crave, and they're not putting the effort and the wherewithal to go and get it.
Christine saying, I feel sorry for you guys. What's left to say? You can probably start recycling shows soon. I know.
No, because I'm going to just start crapping on next year is what I'm going to do. Because honestly, though, look at. Okay, you look at the players that drew into the lineup tonight.
Yeah. And
if you go onto the Twitter machine and guys that weren't playing, now, I know people are going to be, oh, well, Melker Carlson was still in the lineup, so blah, 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 blah. No, look at. You had your Blickfeld tonight. You had your Swimella tonight. And guess what? They couldn't generate more than 7 shots in the first 2 periods of play. Like, anyone who thinks that this is going to be a fast, quick turnaround, how is this going to be a fast, quick turnaround? What is this team showing that this is going to be a quick fix where you're going to fix the goaltending and everything's going to be fine? Like, no. And maybe I'm just, maybe I'm just being stupid tonight because I'm frustrated. But, like, I don't know how anyone could be even remotely optimistic that the Sharks can turn this thing around, like, as quickly as they think they're going to do.
No,
how?
And that's the thing, Ian, is that they were banking on let's be honest, they were banking on 3 guys to come up from junior and
for guys to repeat career years. And
exactly,
I mean, we've beat this horse to death. Like, what are you going to do? You're going to have, like, how is Doug Wilson still the GM of this team with how badly this thing has gone off the rails with the contracts that he's signed? And I know some people are gonna be like, oh, well, a lot of teams have these contracts. You know what? I'm working on something. I don't have it all the math done and everything worked out yet, but I'm working on a little something to combat that little narrative, because honestly, I'm looking at a lot of other teams. I'm looking at the long-term contracts they've signed, how much money, and the ages, and the Sharks by far. And again, I'm not done yet, but from what I've done so far on this, the Sharks by far have the oldest group of players signed to these long-term deals. Everyone else significantly, well, I shouldn't say significantly, but younger. Like, this team, you look around this Pacific Division, you look at that Vancouver team tonight, guys coming in, young guys coming in, the Hughes, the Pettersons, the whatever. What do the Sharks have to going forward for the next 5 years, 7 years? You have a 30-year-old Couture. You have a 30-something-year-old Mark-Edward Vlasic. You have a 34-year-old Brent Burns. All these guys are going to get older. They're still signed long-term. Well, all the other teams in the Pacifics, the Vancouvers, like we just said, you look at the Arizonas with the Clayton Kellers and whatnot, and you think LA and Anaheim aren't going to quickly follow suit here with the way that they're playing and how they've bottomed out? Like, this isn't going to get better anytime soon. This is going to get worse. And Doug Wilson, like I said, if Doug Wilson still has a job at the end of the season, I don't even know what you do from there, because I don't trust him to clean up the mess he's made.
I think that you're right, Ian. I think that, look, tonight's game was an indication that the game has passed this team up. I mean, you look at the way Vancouver is built, and they're built with young pieces, very speedy forwards, but they also have some size. They have some good size. I'm not a big fan of Tyler Myers' game. I never have been, but that's still added size back there, And so for me, you just look at, okay, so what is the structure of our team then going forward? You look at the types of players that they've drafted through the years, and just in the last, in the last two drafts, for instance, it's a hodgepodge of what, what their needs are versus like how they have flyers on different teams. The Sharks used to draft kind of a similar player, and at least, they'd have a bunch of that similar player. But now they're taking gambles on different, different types of players coming out of junior or college or free agents, unsigned free agents. So to me, there's not really a good idea of where the team is supposed to go. And, I think that that's also showing on, the lack of depth in the teams. And you know what? I mean, the other thing I wanted to say was this team looked like it got punked tonight. That was a bunch of kids over on Vancouver who were just giving it to the Sharks, didn't care whatsoever about, the respect of a Joe Thornton or a Brent Burns. They're like, no, we're going to show you on the ice with our play. We're going to show you that it's our time now, and we're ready, and we're going to take it to you. And that's what we saw. We saw them got throttled.
And here's the other thing too. Like if earlier in the chat, Teal Town, which I'm assuming is AJ, was bringing in Dell's quotes from the game, and I thought Dell very, very well summed up what happened tonight. And then you're reading like these other quotes from like Erik Karlsson. I'm not trying to pick on Erik Karlsson here, because like again, Erik Karlsson is one of 6 contracts that are going to hammer this team as far as length and age and everything else. Like, but like the complete almost opposite views of the game. Like, when were you I am angry.
Oh, while you collect your thoughts, I will make the quotes that Del mentioned. We didn't show up the whole game, and that's what happened. We stopped doing everything that made us successful. I don't know why it changed, but we're back to where we were last month. I mean, these guys are coming out and being very blunt now.
Well, no, because read now. Go to the bottom of the chat and read the comments from Karlsson. They're complete, like, these guys aren't even on the same page in their fucking press conferences.
No, you're absolutely right. They've lost, I think that they've lost a little bit of like a sense of reality in so far as where they're at. And
Erik Karlsson with the comment here, we're doing things that are good, but they did things that are better. We chased the puck too much.
What did you do that's good? Get 7 shots on goal in 2 periods? That's good? This is acceptable NHL hockey now?
No, you absolutely have a great point, Ian. I mean, 7 shots on goal I know. For a team that has a handful of great players, and it's just absolutely ridiculous to see that 7 shots on goal through 2 periods of hockey are going to do that. You got 1 goal, Barclay Goodrow at 7:09 of the 3rd period. That's his career high 8th. Congratulations. You're probably one of the few that of this team that have actually, played beyond expectations this year. Karlsson gets an assist on that, so he's got an 8-game assist streak going into the bye week. That's pretty much your highlight of the night. If you're a Sharks fan, that made it 2-1. But to kind of go what you guys were saying earlier, to me, this is where the 2013 Canucks were. And ironically, we played Vancouver tonight, where this team had a great veteran core, and it just started to dwindle down. You replaced the coach didn't do much, and now you're at where the Canucks were in 2014 with Tortorella. And now you're like, what are you going to do? You don't have a whole lot with the Barracuda. You have maybe some prospects. I mean, I'm totally guessing Merkley's going to be an instant call up, next season, which probably shouldn't. I hope not. Yeah, which he shouldn't.
You guys are mad at Erik Karlsson and Brent Burns. Yeah, just let's throw fucking Ryan Merkley into the mix and have 3 of these guys up and down the lineup.
Yeah.
You know, if
Sorry.
no, I mean, you're absolutely right, Ian. And if anything, you know, if Ryan Merkley, I think he's in his age to go to the NHL, right? I mean, so next year he'll be AHL, NHL eligible, and he could stay an overage year if he wanted to, right?
I'd have to look. I'm
Uh,
so.
but if I'm Doug Wilson, I have him not be near this right now. So either
Doug Wilson shouldn't even make that call because she should be gone.
yeah, well, that too.
Just to get caught up, because we do have some super chat donations. We want to
Yes.
thank you for that. It does go help to support the show and such. We have
And it also made me smile.
Yes, just another Randy G. Thank you very much. Ian is my new dad. Earlier, I'm trying to pull it back up. I forgive us. I mean, everybody's on a roll tonight, and we want to thank the 105 of you that are watching this. So if you haven't already, by all means, hit that subscribe button, hit that like button. You know, hit that bell. That's going to notify you when we do go on the air. AG saying also won't. Whoever replaces DW will be handcuffed by the same contracts. Yeah, I mean, whoever is going to have this is going to have this mess, and that's the tough part.
But why would you trust the person to make the mess clean it up?
Not only that,
like when my 6-year-old spills juice on the floor, I don't get him to like grab the nearest like non-sufficient thing to wipe it up with and watch him make the mess bigger. I clean it up.
No, I mean, you're exactly right. I think the other thing too, and this is what got me chuckling, was Chris in the chat saying the Niners sapped all the winning power from the Sharks and Warriors with some unholy Sith powers. Yeah, it feels like it, right? But no, I think honestly it goes to loyalties and allegiances. With a new general manager, you don't have that. Nobody has any equity in the organization because he's not tied. Yes, he still has the contracts, but he'll say, okay, you know, Brent Burns, if you don't want to, you know, trade to one of these teams, then I'll just sit you out. You know, have somebody who is willing to make those tough calls. Guys, I gotta say, and I know that this seems kind of unshark fan of me, but so be it. It's time to ask Joe and Patty to hang them up. I think this is now becoming more of a narrative for this team, and I wonder, you know, if they were winning, then maybe you could continue having them, afford the luxury of having those two kind of be with the team and still trying to contribute. But in a team that needs to really retool and really needs to pull the Band-Aid off, like it's time. I think it's time. And as much as that hurts me to say, I love Joe Thornton. I love Patrick Marleau. I just, you can't have two spots in the top 9 being taken by over 40-year-olds. Yeah. How do you move forward? How do we, it sucks. It's going to suck to move forward. I don't want to.
You got to rip the Band-Aid off, though. I agree.
Yeah. And I think it was maybe a year too long. You know, Joe, you know, God bless him, you know, and for how much he wants to play, you know, he was still contributing last year, but I don't see it. I don't see it, guys.
Well, in the thing here, Landy and Ian, of course, and both of you make great points about ripping the Band-Aid off. That's the thing, is that we don't have anybody to fill that spot. You know, We've tried Blickfeld. We've tried Gambrell. We've tried Gregor. They've had flashes in the pan, which is great and all, but versus a 40-year-old, and I'll use this term loosely, Sharks legend in Joe Thornton and Patrick Marleau. And granted, Patty was just a skosh under 20 goals last year. Joe Thornton had 51 points last season. I mean, you wouldn't know that the drop-off would have been that dramatic this year. And, you know, Anthony Sanchez bringing up a point. Here's the question. If our development coaches couldn't develop our prospects, then how the hell do you expect them to coach an NHL team? Never like Ricci, Nabby, and Summers as coaches. Now, I'll say this. I think Nabby's done wonders with Dell. Jones's confidence is just gone at this point.
Yeah, look, here's the thing. I don't it's hard, right? Because like for me, like, I don't know, like maybe I think Roy Sommer's a guy maybe you could take a shot at. Although to his credit, I feel like he's always done a good job of making the minor league team play a similar system. Like he plays the system he's told to play. And so in that respect, I think he's done an admirable job trying to prepare guys for playing on the big club, because the Barracuda are, have played the style that has been complementary to whoever the head coach has been, whether it was, Todd McClellan or Peter DeBoer, and now, I mean, I don't know, I guess he's up with the Sharks now. I mean, Nabokov, like, so far, I mean, you can't really, like, you look at Dell, I mean, and again, I answered this, I had a question like this on Twitter too. And the thing is, goalies are weird, right? I mean, is it Nabokov? It's probably a combination of a lot of things. Having a longer leash can, do a lot for a guy's confidence if he knows that he's not one mistake away from riding the pine for 2 months like he was under Peter DeBoer. That probably helps. Is the work that Nabokov's doing with him helping? Yeah, it probably has something to do with that too. And hey, maybe he just got hot at the right time. Like, goalies voodoo.
No, I mean, and having a good, year and a half, 2 year stretch in your career, that has been known to happen with goalies. I think the drop off is really hard with goalies as well. I mean, remember Tim Thomas's last year and just how bad that was, and it's a precipitous fall. So, look, I want to go back to the whole DW as general manager thing. I think having a fresh perspective and having the ability to, yes, you need to pay homage to the organization's finest, but you also have to look at things with a critical eye, right? Are the players, doing well under metrics, that are clearly based upon, factual evidence here, right? And not just like, oh, I drafted these guys and so I want to see them succeed. And again, it's just having that critical eye and making sure that you're not seeing diamonds that aren't there, or vice versa, where you thought that this was a diamond, but really it's not, it's a cubic zirconium. They need to have a fine-tooth comb and go through every portion of the organization. And I really believe that that's what's needed now. It feels like the Giants, the whole turmoil that the Giants have gone through, where it just, you had these superstar players, you had this coaching staff that had been working together for so long, had done so well, and then they just kind of hang on too long. And now it's, they're going through a whole organizational shift. I don't want to say that that's what we need right now, but you know what, guys? Like, this team is not giving me any other reason to believe that this is going to be fixed in the short term, medium term, or long term.
No. Yeah, no, I think there's a lot of fairness to that. I mean, it's hard. Like, I don't know. I mean, God bless Mark. Like, Mike Ricci, for a lot of the guys that come in and just like swoop in and they just snatch up jobs or whatever, like Ricci, I give a little slack because he put the work in. Like, he wasn't just like, he was here putting the work in before it was like, oh, you're an alumni, here's a fancy title.
Yeah, and you're right. I mean, and Steve Richter bringing up the three World Series later, insofar as the Giants, I don't want to go to that sport, but it is, let's more like it like an LA or Chicago, where they have won those cups, and look at how they've had to rebuild their organizations after those cups, right?
And LA's still rebuilding, and Chicago has pieces, but they dealt with horrific cap crunches, and it's cost them big players. You talk about
well, they're probably the only other team with as many long-term contracts for guys as old as the Sharks have,
and they have 3 cups to say, well, we don't mind,
for sure.
A couple comments from Bugner as we go down the chat. Again, thank you everyone for joining us. Hit that subscribe button down below. Bob Bugner, we didn't give up a lot defensively in the first, got into penalty trouble in the second, and aren't creating enough offense. When you're spending as much time in your own end, it's hard to generate offense. We've been horrible in the circle, and we can't get chances. Yeah, guys, usually we don't talk about the face-off circle as much, But when you get owned in the face-off circle, 62% to 38% tonight, definitely doesn't help things. And especially when you have a face-off guru that's on behind the bench for the Canucks and Manny Malhotra, you knew that was going to be coming.
Well,
Here.
let's not pretend here. Like, let's remember, like, Logan Couture is not here. Those face-off numbers would be better with Logan Couture on the ice. Like, that's not to say that, but again, like, missing Couture is rough, and obviously there is going to be an impact, and I don't think that impact should be understated, but it's still not an excuse for tonight.
No, I think that's very reflective of the give a damn meter as well. I always thought that face-offs was a very important status. So insofar as who's got the territorial advantage, who is actually exerting kind of their style of play and momentum. I mean, God, the first two periods they had their entire offensive attack was disjointed. I was watching the Canadian feed because I don't know if anybody else, but the NBC feed sure sucked tonight with stuttering and a bunch of
I was wondering if it was my internet or if I thought it was my internet because of the snowstorm.
No, it was just a really bad stream from NBC and hell, even the broadcast isn't running on all cylinders right now. But they like I'm saying, no cohesive attack, no real. I mean, I guess you could call it effort, but I mean, they look like they were faking it till they made it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
By the way, Burge 7F91, I haven't forgot you. Thank you for your super chat donation, and saying that it's time for Jumbo and Patty to hang it up and to blow it up was what you were saying earlier. MLS fan 20 Nolan, good to see you on here. Appreciate it. Like he said, get Jumbo traded to a contender.
Will he go? He has a full no move.
Will he go? Will Patty go?
Patty doesn't have a say. If the Sharks could send him to the Barracuda tomorrow and he could do squat about it. Not that I'm advocating for sending Patrick Marleau to the Barracuda. I'm just saying they could do it. Right. It's interesting, right? Because for the money, I mean, for all the talk about missing Joe Pavelski, I think him and Patrick Marleau have the same number of points for 10% of the contract. So go Marleau. I don't know. I can't see how anyone on that team thinks that they're still in this at this point. But at the same time, it's hard. I have a hard time. Like maybe with the way things are going, like Thornton will be like, okay, yeah, we're out of here. Get me the hell out of here. But I just don't think so. Like, I think at his age or whatever, he doesn't want to be away from the family. He has control, right? And he could say no and just ride it out and ride into the sunset in the worst possible way, in the worst way possible.
Yeah.
At this point though, I think you have to really consider. I wouldn't bench him, but it's clear that it's like, okay, this is the Joe Thornton goodbye show. You know what I mean? Like it. I don't know. I left me really. That really bothered me. A shot on Sutter. At the end of the game, and it looked like a selfish play, and you think, maybe it's getting to a boiling point for him.
Yeah.
But I haven't seen him like that in a while. It maybe since the year, the Stadium Series year 14. It kind of was reminiscent of that, where we really saw him just be fed up. He looks fed up.
Yeah.
Do you blame him?
No. Going in the chat, look at, what contender would want Jumbo. I mean, I'm sure somebody would do things because, let's be honest, NHL teams make stupid decisions for stupid reasons. There's somebody who's out there that thinks he's, can probably, help their power play and give quality minutes in a bottom six role. I'm sure somebody would probably take him. Is he going to give you a decent return? No, but I mean, you take anything at this point, don't you?
Yeah.
Hell, if you want a nice little narrative, send him back to Boston. They're leading their division, and he'd probably want to play some games with Chara and, really try and do it. Ray Bork this bitch, right? So, hey, more power to him. If he can contribute somewhere else, that's good because they have a nucleus of players that can help him. Whereas this nucleus of players can't do that for him. I feel sorry for him. This is not the way you end your career.
That being said, if Vegas offered a trade for Joe Thornton and they have a plethora of picks,
why not?
Sure. And look at, man, if you can get a 4th round pick for Joe Thornton, yippee-ki-yay.
Yeah.
Like, that's fantastic at this point because does it matter? I mean, no.
Or, I'm sure at this point look, with the performance that they put out tonight, I'm sure he's very frustrated, and I'm sure that Doug Wilson would probably want to do a solid for him. I think, yeah, I think it's time, guys. I think it really is.
Kopitar 11, thank you for your super chat
Yes,
donation.
thank you.
Who will Ottawa pick with the Sharks tank pick?
Oh, well, hey,
our luck would be Alexis Lafreniere.
No.
Oh, you want me to
do the thing? Do the thing. Do the thing.
All right. I gotta pull it up. What's the website again?
I don't remember.
Oh,
Just
boy.
do the thing.
Yeah, we did this the other time.
It was bad.
It was bad.
You tell me the number and I'll tell you the player.
Oh boy. But again, we want to thank each and every one of you for joining us here on Teal Town After Dark. We do this after every freaking post game. Yep, here we go. Tankathon. Yeah, and I'm trying to make sure we get everybody else. If there's something in the chat, guys, make sure you reference it to me, and I'll try to
doing my best.
So right now, they are the 6th worst team in the NHL, the San Jose Sharks. Sim lottery, here we go. LA would pick number 1. The Sharks pick would actually drop to 7th. Okay.
7th,
That's not bad.
7th is tricky. Yeah. I mean, that's a tricky one.
Yeah.
There'll still be a good player on the board at 7. That's for damn sure. I'll tell you that much.
Yep.
Be a damn good player on the board at 7.
And it's a deep draft, you said before, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, I would say the impactful talent is, like normal years, it's 1, 2, 3, and then I'd say you have I'd say it's a good year for B-level prospects. Wouldn't you say, Ian? Like just right underneath the
yeah. I mean, there's
echelon.
a lot of really good ones. Like it's going to be interesting because after the my big curiosity is where's Quentin Byfield going to go because I think he should be a top 3 guy, but not a particularly good World Juniors, but you look at the size the kid has and the skill the kid has, but a bad World Junior can sometimes really hurt your draft ranking. So I'm kind of curious to see where Quentin Byfield goes. That's my big what's going to happen.
James Abel saying, think about this. 50 games into the season, the Sharks are 20 plus points behind the top 4 teams in the NHL. Yikes. Definitely my thing. Just blame the broadcast. Oh, thanks, Angel. Appreciate it. I'm glad this is stretching out a little bit more. Just blame the broadcast on Puck Isaiah. Yes, it was running on my internet stream. Yeah. AJ saying Pabs does have Burns in Dallas. Yeah, well, if they want him,
Whatever. I know you're right. If Joe Pavelski was still a San Jose Shark, he'd have a fucking 50-point season. Right. Tell me all about it, kids, on this fucking team.
Yep. Jumbo Polini, fire Tim Burke. Even if we were to get a top pick, we've been drafting Pat Falloon since the beginning. You're not wrong.
The draft this decade has been brutal for the Sharks. Brutal. You have 4 players that have played NHL games on a consistent basis.
Yeah, and again, I also want to understand what goes into their processing on their free agent selection. What also is their kind of metrics for drafting? Because the Sharks have always been able to find players lower on, so they must be doing something right in that way. But I think that their evaluation on high-end talent is
Uh,
still a lot to be desired.
I mean, it's kind of luck though, right? I mean, when you're like, it's okay, just let me gather my thoughts and talk for a minute.
Yeah, I mean, so for me, the under the main genesis of it is to try and understand why they pick the players where they do, and then trying to understand, okay, maybe they need to change the metrics on which they draft, or maybe they need to, look at some other kinds of quality stats to help them out. I'm not sure where we're at insofar as using advanced stats and things, but you would figure that, hell, it's Silicon Valley. They should be freaking, putting these guys sensors on everything, and we should be leading the league in like technology wise and understanding advanced analytics and advanced stats.
Considering that the owner
Have
of
you
the
tried
team
using the stats page on the NHL website?
Right, I know.
powered by SAP. Oh
Yeah.
man, we're gonna get hit hard on this one. Just for clarity, Tim Burke doesn't run the scouting anymore. It's Doug Wilson Jr.
Wilson Jr. Yeah.
So another twist to the thing. If you are one of those guys that are asking for removal of DW, what does that do with the head of the scouting department here?
Again, I think it's one of those seismic changes. I don't think it's easy. I think this is an operation where you're going to have to go into the soil and rip the roots out. You know what I mean? There are some heavily rooted things in this organization, whether it be with the alumni, whether it be with how how they hire. Especially in the hockey ops side. I'm not talking about any other kinds of hirings, but in hockey ops, like Brad Marchman, I think is still an influential player in the Sharks organization. So I don't want to say it's nepotism at its finest, but I also think that there are some really heavy roots in the organization, and it's not
so here I just
easy.
threw a link in the chat and just showing you which brings up the draft history. And if you look in the last, like, say, since 2013, and you look at the number of just blank spaces behind guys' names, like that is a big part of the problem.
Yeah. And so this is not easy, guys. This is one of the most difficult seasons we've had to endure as a fan base in a long time.
And like I'm seeing, like, hire a coach. Here's the problem. Like, I'm not going to sit here and tell you after all the kicking the shit out of Peter DeBoer I did that Peter DeBoer is some sort of great coach or anything, but I don't think any coach, like, I don't know who you're going to bring in that's going to rectify the situation. This is rotten to the core.
Yeah, I mean, the second coming of Scotty Bowman wouldn't save this team.
I mentioned the Canucks. You can definitely go Leafs, and honestly, there will be pain, and we're experiencing pain right now. Now, granted, let's put it this way: it's not 92-93 pain where this team lost 71 games, but how they looked tonight, they looked like the team that played in 92-93 at the Cow Palace. That was not a pretty look right now.
No, and you go back to 92-93, I think it's equally as frustrating, but in a different way. And the reason why is because this team had so much potential going into it, and maybe that was a total miscalculation on a fan base.
I won't lie. Look, I sat here at the start of the season telling everyone that this was a top 3 team in the Pacific. Like,
right.
Yeah. Like, it wasn't like we came into the season expecting this to go wrong. Like, everything has gone wrong for this team. They haven't one thing to break their way, period.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, and that doesn't help anything. But I don't think even with everything, breaking the way it has, it was bound to happen. I mean,
yeah.
Last year, Sharks outscored a lot of their problems. They can't do that this year.
Right.
Just another Randy G. Okay, here's the reality. There is no magic reset button. As a fan base,
No.
we have to be prepared for a long playoff drought. And I'll put in that something this area hasn't seen since maybe the Seals in the 70s, and that's taken it a stretch. Nothing is going to make the Sharks lifting the cup next year. I mean, yeah, you have to realize that at this point, you have to start rebuilding. Well, let's not. Or were you rebuilding? Were you resetting? Were you retooling? Or something?
I just don't know how you reset. Like, here's the problem, right? And I know here's Ian gonna beat the hell out of Martin Jones, who didn't even play tonight. But you have Martin Jones signed for the next 1 billion years. That alone, like, not only do you not have you have to figure out what you're gonna do with Martin Jones. If because Aaron Dell, you probably can't come back with the exact same goaltending next year, regardless of how Aaron Dell plays for the rest of the season. You have no, like, forward depth is clearly an issue, and buying out Martin Jones and then paying another goalie half of what Martin Jones makes for maybe you get the same goaltending, who knows, but at least if it's cheaper, maybe you can stomach it better. That doesn't leave any money to replenish this forward core that doesn't have players that are showing signs of being ready to go. Like, and look at, and maybe again, I'm being a little melodramatic here, but it's not like guys haven't gotten a look. Maybe you can argue and say, okay, maybe they weren't put in the right positions, whatever. Fine. I'll listen to those arguments. But the fact remains that none of these guys are even showing hints of being ready for prime time. Is the season going to change that? Maybe. But you're asking for, again, things to break the right way. You're asking for, 3 or 4 of these guys that can't hold a lineup spot right now to be bona fide NHLers next season? And then maybe you add another player, like, with whatever cap space you find under the couch cushion if you don't buy out Martin Jones. Like, what do you, like, that's the problem, right? Like, this team is in such a mess now. It's cap hell.
Yeah, I mean, I think last year, I kind of look at it as you're adding more, like, fancy bells and whistles to a house that's got, just a rotten core, right? A rotten foundation. They kept adding on to the house additions after additions after additions to try and see if they could just, get this team over the top and get it to win again. I think,
guys, here's another thing too, guys, stop. The Seattle expansion draft doesn't even happen until not this spring coming, next spring.
Yeah.
All this, you're going to wait you're going to have to wait a whole season before Seattle can solve any of your issues. And you know what? Here's the other thing again with that. And I know I've said this a lot, but Vegas didn't have to eat a bunch of bad contracts to get to the floor. They did it to pick up assets and pick up picks. They eat some bad, but they never had to do it to get to the floor. The Sharks don't have the Seattle, whatever McCallits, don't have to eat our garbage in order to be good or in order to hit the floor.
Eric, you got to read that last comment coming out of EK65. That's a whopper.
Yeah. First off, Raphael Snit, thank you for your super chat. Painful season, but your show is solid as always. We appreciate it. I'm astonished that we've stayed over 100 people. So if you haven't already, please hit the subscribe button. We're on the verge of 2,000 subs. We would love to hit it by the end of this season, if not by the end of this month, at the rate this is going. But yeah, this quote from EK65 is very interesting. You're going to go through these spells as an organization. This is where you're going to find out who's going to be here long term and what we're going to have to do to move forward.
Well, I can name 6 guys that are going to be here long term, and I'm not sure they're the right
guys. And mind you, those 6 guys, we don't know if half of them should be moving forward, right?
Well, as I said, I can name 6 guys that'll be here going forward, but I'm not saying all those 6 guys should be.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, God, that Timo Meier contract looks so bad.
Timo Meier's not even one of them.
I mean, yeah,
Timo is not even one of them. And honestly, like Timo Meier is not having a good season. I still have faith that he can bounce back. He's not the guy I'm worried about. He's 23 years old. He's not even in his prime yet.
Yeah, no, I know who you're looking at. It starts with an 8 and ends with an 8, and it rhymes with a Clark Boomar. Like I hear you, and that's what happens when you pile up a bunch of cash on a player who,
like, Timo Meier is the least of my worries right now. Like, no, don't get me wrong. It's if he can't come around. I mean, we're going to look at that contract because that $10 million qualifying offer that's going to be at the end of it.
Yeah, I know.
That's not going to look good. But you know what? Problems like that, I'm okay with. That is a 23-year-old problem. That is not a 32-year-old problem or a 34-year-old problem.
And AJ also thinking what I was just about to say. I can't wait till Hurdle needs a raise.
Hurdle's like, what? Yeah, but Hurdle's not like, okay. Hurdle's not the problem. Like, here's the problem. Like, and I wrote this in my Selling the Sharks thing, and you can find that on Teal Town USA. Moving someone like Tomas Hurdle at this point, that is a franchise-altering mistake because there has been many points in the season where he's been the engine of this team. Moving Tomas Hurdle would be a franchise-altering mistake. Unless you get absolute maximum return for him, franchise-altering mistake moving Tomas Hurdle.
Yeah, unless you're trading for another center, I want no part of that one either. And at this point, the guys that I look at that I wouldn't be, sorry to see gone. I mean, Marcus Sorensen. This is a guy that has been given a lot of opportunity, a lot of rope in the organization.
AJ, I'm not even sorry. I just want to say, AJ, I didn't even read who said it. I'm just responding.
Right. Another. Geez, I'm just looking at it. I mean, we've said it before, but Brent Burns or Marc-Edouard Vlasic, one of those two, you can't have both of them. You know what I mean? You can't have both of them and have Erik Karlsson's contract in the room. Again, that leaves us with more questions about who would take those contracts, right? And so just looking at the way that it's kind of structured, Joe Thornton, just another body taking up a spot. It's tough. It's really painful because these are human beings we're talking about, right? This is their livelihood, and these are players that we grew up rooting for, in some of them, and others, that have become icons. And how do you?
Like I've said a million times, I'm sure Martin Jones is one hell of a swell human being. I just think he's a terrible fucking goaltender.
Yeah, Burns. Is somebody saying Burns is playing with a separated shoulder? I mean, it looks like his shot hasn't looked right all year. You know what I mean? He is visibly uncomfortable out there, and that was even before he had took himself off the ice. Remember, for that little period in Dallas. It would not surprise me if we come out to hear that he's got a right separated shoulder, because that's where you drive a lot of your power from your wrist shots, and it's just not there. I think Erik Karlsson's groin is still hanging on by a thread, to be quite honest.
I don't know.
With you.
I just think it's maybe. I think it's hard, right? Because, like, I don't know. Maybe Brent Burns is just 34 fucking years old.
Could be that too.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, because look, it's easy to do, right? Like, I find it's easy, and I always get really nervous about that. Is like, oh well, my favorite player that I like isn't doing well. He must be hurt. Like, I don't know. Like,
it's something. I think
if he was playing with separated shoulder, would have heard something by now.
I guess Kurz is now reporting tonight, actually, one of the reasons the Sharks are having trouble generating shots, apparently Brent Burns has been playing with a hurt shoulder.
Found it after last game. Okay, well, there you go. Well, now we're actually hearing that. Okay, fine. I will accept this line of questioning then.
Remember how bad Donskoy looked with that separated shoulder, right? I mean, that.
Sure. Oh yeah. I mean, look, separated shoulders are no joke. not trying to. I just don't want to be in a place like, obviously, okay, now we're hearing like there's potential injury there. Okay, fine. I just there's been times during the season where it's like, oh, this guy's doing well, he must be hurt,
Right.
or maybe he just sucks today. Like, it happens.
Yeah, no, and even if you had a healthy Brent Burns, right, would that change a whole hell of a lot? I don't think so. I mean, you generate, a lot more shots, maybe 5 to 7 shots, but that's still not enough, extra coming out. I mean, there's just a ton of problems.
Sure.
There's just and every time they go to patch the leak, another leak pops out and then another one pops out.
Well, that's the problem with this team all year. It's you fix one thing and you lose another, right? Something else starts to leak. That's kind of been the MO for this team, the whole thing. Okay, so I apologize for Burns. Obviously, we're hearing he's hurt. It's fine. He's hurt. My bad.
That being said, though, the 2 of those goals, he does the defensive starfish posture on there and it failed. Other time, he was looking all around for head on a swivel and missed the guy in front, and he buries it in for another goal. Not exactly the greatest defensive play, and yeah, we did that with Erik Karlsson too. We could totally mention that as well. So this team, while they spent a lot of their time in the defensive zone tonight, they're not exactly doing the best job in their defensive zone either. For sure, indeed. Thank you very much for the super chat donation, by the way. Sorry, go ahead, Landy.
Yeah, no, I was just going to go in and respond to a couple people in the chat saying, putting Burns on blast and, now realizing he's got an injury. Again,
okay, wait a second here. Wait a second. Burns plays a really physical thing. So for me to sit here and say, well, at 34, that's probably a concern with the style of game like he plays. Like, it's not like this is completely me just out of left field just taking a run at a guy.
Right. No,
like let's not pretend like 34, the body doesn't, with a style of hockey that Burns plays, let's not pretend that age shouldn't be a concern at this point, and the fact that he signed until he's 39 shouldn't be a concern.
Right. And I think it's interesting because we also have to understand that Burns is going to decline pretty rapidly. I think we're also going to have to be okay with the fact that he's might need to change position because his body just can't handle it anymore, or they need to really reduce his ice time to like 15 minutes. You know what I mean? Like, they're not playing him with a lot of care, deploying him in the right spots at the right times. You kind of have to have a rethink of what his, how valuable he is to the team, and should he be that integrated into the offense? Because if you're going to have busted shoulders, or you're going to have, just a precipitous decline, there should be people around you to help you out with that. And if he's playing hurt, or if it's that vital that he plays with how bad the injury is, then he needs to say it, step up and say it. Like, hey, look, I can't play this, or I can't, I'm going to be a detriment to the team. He has to understand that too. So, it's on everybody, right? I think it's on everybody involved. It's on both the people making the decisions health-wise, and it's also on the player to understand when he's good enough to contribute and when he's not. Because right now, I'd rather see, an extra 20 minutes of Tim Heed drawing in on the lineup.
But like AJ just mentioned, Pugner's already said Burns is better playing with more minutes, and that's.
Well, I mean, if he's hurt, though,
but if he's hurt,
maybe that changes things, right? Like, I don't know. I'm not angry. I'm sorry if I'm coming off as like attacking people. I'm not trying to attack people. I just feel like, I don't know. I feel like, at least if I'm going to take a run at a guy, I usually do a pretty good job backing it up. That's all. I'm sorry. Maybe I'm getting a little defensive, and I apologize.
No, but I think it's understandable. I think the frustration is definitely understandable because this team shouldn't be here. We shouldn't be having to have these podcasts be therapy for everybody. We should be enjoying this. We should be having fun. The guys should be out there having fun and be happy that they're getting paid a lot of money to play a good game. You know what I mean? But right now we're not even seeing that. We're seeing a team that is just self-loathing and a team that is just imploding upon itself. That's what we're watching. We're watching a team implode on itself right now.
But you know what? The honest opinions here. I mean, there's if there's more than anything that we do when we do these shows. Yeah, I think we've even said this is a vent session or whatnot. But it's where we come together. Hashtag Teal Together.
Right.
You're welcome, Sharks organization. That we voice our opinions on things. Yeah, we're not Doug Wilson. We're not Hasselplatner. We're not, the front office. But we talk about the player performance. We talk about what happened in the game. By the way, if you just joined us, the Sharks lost 4-1. But that's what it's like to share our opinions. Whether it's Dylan will be gone after the break, right? Whether it's a super chat donation from Kopitar11, which there's no way in heck that's going to happen. Maybe trade Lucic for Jones. Not going to happen unless Reid comes the other way as well. But this is what we do, and we appreciate it. And to the 101 people in here, thank you very much. I mean, this is probably the longest we've gone with over 100 viewers watching us right now. So do me a favor. We're at 25 likes. Can we get to 48 for Hurdle going to the All-Star game?
Yeah, this is our pre-All-Star break show, right? So,
can we have some I don't know, silver linings? No, okay, not really, but I mean, geez, at least they got some smiles out of both of you. Geez.
What I'm getting smiled at are some of these usernames in here. We have Satan, Fanatical Teal Bleeder, and we've got Proud Heretic. I mean, like, it's just like
there's some fantastic names in here.
Yeah, I know, and I just feel like some of these just popped out of nowhere.
I love it. No, I mean, look at it's when the pod does good, it's good.
Yes.
Because the Sharks are so doing good, so I can't say that.
Right. I mean, make us laugh somehow. Oh, right. My goodness. We're at 35 likes.
And like a tiger says, thanks, guys. It's a bit of a therapeutic episode. Honestly, it is. I mean, let's be real here. When they start at 4-10-1, we already knew that this season was going to be in trouble.
Buckle up, boys. We're in for a ride.
I mean, thankfully we aren't thinking 11-71-2. Dear God, I don't want to go through that again. But I mean, you have to enjoy the ride, no matter how bumpy it is and how loose the seatbelt is on the Big Dipper.
Yeah, I mean, we've gotten to that point where Erik is like, you know what, guys, we have to enjoy the process of this. We have to enjoy. We have to take the little things out of this season, like Ferraro and Goodrow.
Hey, Mario Ferraro. Look, I mean, honestly, Mario Ferraro. There's probably him and Barclay Goodrow have been probably the guys who have achieved the best this season. Honestly.
And you know what's excellent about that? And this is going to be so like you guys are going to be like, wow, Ian, you are completely just jaded at this point. but here's the positive thing about that. Barclay Goodrow, not in a contract year. He has a whole year to regress before you have to open the piggy bank and pay him too.
Pay him $5 million per. But also, like I was saying before, where we're talking about the whole cap situation. Yes, when Seattle comes in, there should be a boost in the cap. When Hockey Jerk said, and hi Hockey Jerk,
yes,
when the cap gets to $100 million in about 4 or 5 years, these contracts won't be as horrific though.
No, you're right, and there will be more room to do things and more room to do other things. The problem is that if you need 3 years for the cap to come up, That's 3 more years on all those contracts. Those players are that much older. That's the core of your team. And so I'm not saying like the concern that I would have is that if you need the 3 years for that money to come up, that's 3 years of all those contracts getting older. Brent Burns is now 37.
Oh God, that's a horrible thought right there.
Like, Logan Couture is what, 34?
34.
Mark Edward Vlasic's 36, 35.
Yeah. No, I'm looking at the ages I'm looking at the money spent at these ages, and I'm just like, oh God, why did we sign that again?
And that is and I'm not trying to bring everyone back down, but that's the concern.
Yeah.
No, I totally agree with you. It's just, we have to laugh at something at this point, because this is just a precipitous. We're looking right over the edge, and we're like, oh boy, that's a really far bottom way to tumble.
Right, and that's my concern, right? It's yes, eventually the cap's going to come up, and that is going to relieve some things, and that can, a higher cap can help you mask some of your mistakes. The problem is that the core of your team, like this team, went all in now because it was supposed to win now. It was supposed to win last year. It was supposed to win this year. And then all the pain down the road, it'd be like Chicago. All the pain at the end would be worth it because you'd have the banners in the rafters. But, we're not even going to get a Western Conference regular season banner this year.
Oh man. And
Chris saying in the chat, remember all the painful memories. Make that championship that much sweeter. Yes, it will.
Absolutely.
I just hope I'm alive to see it happen.
No, I mean, like, I definitely teared up in 2010. If you're a San Francisco Giants fan, I think that's special for you. And the 49ers the Niners will be good too whenever that happens. I'm not saying that they'll beat Green Bay tomorrow, but
please
might be.
For the sake of for the sake of the Shark season, please Niners win tomorrow.
Yeah, at least it's something, right? Something that's happening in Bay Area sports. But anyhow, but I saw somebody in here saying, this is just the beginning, and you know what? The sad thing is, it is. This is just the beginning of this. It looks bad, guys. It really does.
Like, the problem is like, look at everything again. I said this earlier, and I guess if you're looking for a silver lining, I did say this earlier. Everything is broken the wrong way for the Sharks this season. Maybe you get half the things going right, and maybe look at. I still think the Pacific Division is going to get incrementally better year over year, but I mean, if they weren't a complete tire fire this season, if you had a couple of things break your way, it's not like they couldn't be in it this year. If a few things, like obviously, look at goaltending would be a big must break the right way, and that's problematic. But it's not like everyone's running away with the Pacific. I mean, we just saw a team that is top 5 in the league, and almost every 5-on-5 metric fire their coach because they weren't performing up to snuff. Like, it's a weird division.
Oh no, I mean it's some people will say it's the most even division. Some people say it might be the most mediocre, and they all suck together, which is kind of what I'm leaning towards right now. But it doesn't look good. I mean, you just have to look at the other team that we were playing tonight in Vancouver. Elias Pettersson is going to get better. Mm-hmm. Quinn Hughes is going to get better. That's scary. You look over at Colorado, like, hi, Cale Makar, you just got in and you're knocking on the door for Norris already. I mean, like, guys, this is scary. The amount of good young talent that surrounds the Sharks.
Yeah.
Connor McDavid, they can't suck forever, can they? But, it is Edmonton, so they'll find a way to ruin a wet dream. But,
Wow.
Sorry, Edmontonians, but, God, that's horrible. That's just not a good run franchise.
It's bad when Jake Virtanen scores 2 assists tonight. And the worst part, and Ian, I'm sure you know this since you're up in Canada. The worst part is that Louis Eriksson has been scratched. They've tried to find ways to get rid of him.
One of the worst contracts in the league.
And guess what? Who scores the first goal tonight for Vancouver?
Oh, I think my tweet read exactly. Lou Eriksson just scored. Just cancel the season now.
I mean, come on.
I think that was my response.
I think that, there's that. But, you talk about the cap going up, and one of the ways that the cap goes up is with revenue. And my goodness, if AJ's post on tealtownusa.com, yes, ding ding shame, is true, man, we'll be all shelling out hundreds of dollars for new jerseys, preferably.
Oh yeah, and when they start retiring numbers, because that's the only way they get people in the building. Yeah, this will be cool stuff next year.
Yeah, but it's gonna be window dressing on a dog turd, right? I mean,
most likely.
And I hate to say that, but yeah, at this point you've got to start selling hope to the franchise, and the hope is that we're getting original logo stuff next year. Oh my gosh.
The Burge 7F91. You're tempting me. You're baiting me into trying to do something, aren't you? That's I know what we need. We need a new logo and jersey design. Yep, and that's probably coming down the road too. I wouldn't be surprised, but
Yeah, Sharkachu could use a nice fresh coat of paint.
Yes. All right, now.
Yeah, I want to agree with Chris something here too. Just quickly with Chris here and the thing just about Hasso Plattner being an absentee owner. Like there's times where you got to be very, very careful what you wish for when it comes to ownership, because when your ownership gets too involved, sometimes you draft Nail Yakupov instead of Ryan Suter. I think that was the same draft.
Ryan Suter, I think might be a little bit different player.
But whatever, like they took Yakupov because their owner said take Yakupov instead of the defenseman that they should have taken instead.
Yeah, no, and I agree, and I hope though, because Hasso Plattner, what scares me about Hasso Plattner is that he doesn't have any local ties, right? He doesn't have a lot to. How much Bay Area loyalty does he have? That's what scares me, right?
I don't know. It's you got to be very careful, because otherwise you end up in a situation though, because you want the right level of ownership involvement,
right?
Because you don't want a situation like the Flyers where they're just like, oh, well, we're done waiting because we're firing everyone because we didn't take enough penalty minutes, and we're not playing like Flyers should play because we're the Flyers and we're supposed to we're supposed to beat people up in 2019.
Like Kopitar 11,
right?
You don't want an owner being Jerry Jones.
Right, you don't. Yeah, exactly. You want the perfect. There's a perfect level of meddling. It's a very fine line. Very, very fine line.
I who's doing it well though, and I like the style that it's kind of a hybrid style is Carolina's owner. Right, where he has like a really good idea of where he wants to see the money being put in so far as the analytics. He's involved in the off-ice stuff and, really breaking down old traditions and things like that. I like to see that. And it seems like the front office has fairly good autonomy. I think he's got the last say in a lot of deals, but, at least that their staff has a lot of freedom to go out and make moves. So I like seeing that kind of involvement of an owner, but this, Hasso just kind of being there and just showing, paying the checks. I'm afraid that one day he's going to wake up, he's paying this check and he's like, what the hell am I paying for?
Right.
You know what I mean? That's the scary part to me, is because it's just like, okay, then, where is your level of dedication to the team? I know that he has really big ties to, loved Russian hockey, watching a lot of Russian hockey, like the Russian 5 on Detroit. I know that he, is a really big hockey nut. So that's why I'm hoping he stays invested. But like AJ was saying, a little bit more, have him speak maybe just once a season, kind of get a
Sure.
barometer
Sure.
of where he's
Again,
at.
like it's a balance, right? It's a fine balance. And because you want to obviously, like, again, you don't want someone who's so in charge that you don't want your owner making hockey decisions. Or ideally your owner trusts his hockey people to make hockey decisions.
Right. You don't want a Francesco Aquilini, but you don't want
Correct.
it to be so diplomatic that it's Toronto, right, where you have to ask a board to make a move, right? So, where is the balance in that? And then the other extreme is a Boston, right, Jerry Jacobs, and just how insane he is with that team, where he's kind of like Darth Sidious, you know what I mean? Pulling puppet master, right? Is
Sure.
where I'm getting at. So, it's you want to see some involvement though.
Yeah, for sure.
We like to tell our affiliates that we are running long. So if you are waiting for the reach around, it will be coming eventually.
Everyone did better than we did. Everyone.
Yeah.
Except for Dallas. Spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert. Well, you know what? At this point, might as well get it out of the way.
Have the goddamn common courtesy to give him a reach around.
You know what? Before we even... Just like, what the hell with the...
Word.
Hey, I'll at least get to the other San Jose team tonight.
Ooh, Barracuda.
All because they played tonight. They lost 4-3 in overtime.
Everything sucks.
To the Iowa Wild.
You know what? We should even just delete the title out of this video and just put the depressing edition.
No.
Everything sucks.
Yeah, everything sucks across the bottom title.
But kudos to Jake Middleton getting his first goal of the season to tie the game up with a minute 35 left, shorthanded, only for Iowa to win it with a minute left into overtime. So at least they get a point out of that.
At least they're learning their level of Sharks organizational mediocrity, right?
Damn.
We've got some questions coming in from the chat asking, where's some swag, Puck Guy?
We'll work on the lapel pins, Jerk. We'll work on that. Trying to work on some ideas for some more shirts. At this point, I don't think
Can we make everything suck shirts?
Yeah, we have to have or dog turd with a bow tie. That one was pretty funny that Chris was mentioning in the chat.
Damn.
Yeah, it should be a dog turd with a teal bow tie, or the emoji turd with a teal bow tie.
Yeah. We'll see. We'll also see Alex Ovechkin passing two guys tonight on the all-time scoring list. He got another hat trick in a 6-4 victory over the Islanders. The Avalanche
scores hat tricks in bunches. That guy, like, he'll just go 3 games, score hat tricks. Like, I don't even know.
Seriously,
that doesn't suck.
The Avalanche win 5-3 over the Blues. Cale Makar with his 11th of the season. McKinnon 28th. The Oilers beat the Desert Dogs 7-3.
Everything sucks.
McDavid 2 goals in that one. Damn it, Draisaitl, you didn't do anything for me in fantasy. The Senators beat the Flames 5-2. Former Shark Chris Tierney with his 8th of the season in there. You guys in Chimp Versatile, you suck.
Hey, you know who won the chat though? Fanatical Teal Bleeder. You got this one. Stools and nooses.
Oh my God, no, we're not gonna do that one. Chicago 6-2 over the Toronto Maple Leafs. William Nylander gets his 22nd. Gee, I wonder who Jesse Blake is going to pick for his crown on the Steve Dangle podcast tomorrow. Jonathan Taves, 2 goals, 2 assists in that victory. The Vegas Golden Knights lose in a shootout to the Montreal Canadiens 5-4. In this one, Ilya.
Where's your Peter DeBoer now?
That's right, 1-0-1. Take that.
Sorry.
Damn.
Oh, and that, and then AJ with the chimp versatile. Oh my god! Oh, that's so funny. Sorry, where were we on how much more of a hole we're getting dug deep in this?
Raphael Snit, why does everyone turn good after they leave the Sharks? That is called post-Teal syndrome, by the way. Cherry F, come on. No, we're not going to do that.
Screaming shark into vomiting shark.
On.
I like that.
Ilya Kovalchuk
I like that idea.
With his 7th of the season. Boy, way to go, LA. Way to screw that pooch. Fleury with the loss in that one. Riley Smith, his 20th of the season. Jeez. Riley Smith with 20 goals. And I don't think anybody with the Sharks has 20 yet. Panthers beat up on the Red Wings 4-1. Yeah, okay. Flyers beat the Kings 4-1 with the same score. Dustin Brown, the near, with the only goal for LA. The Devils get shut out by the Blue Jackets 5-0. Elvis Ristolainen's starting to become a thing, guys.
Where's your Sergei Bobrovsky now?
He's off the force, Bobrovsky.
Yeah, I know.
Take that, Jayon, right?
Now we got some blue smade shoes.
Cam Atkinson with 2 goals in that one. In the battle of the Navy and Yellow teams, Predators 2-1 over the Buffalo Sabres. Johansson gets his goal there. Wild shut out the Stars 7-0. The big one here, questionable hit by Corey Perry. Gee, what a shock there, as his knee makes contact with former Shark Alex Stalock. Did you guys see it, and what did you think of it?
At this point, it's a joke that they even let him play. I mean, the guy is just, you could see he's washed up, and he's just trying to shit stir any way that he can.
It's funny because for how... This should be like another like multi-game suspension because he just got back from one. But outside of the game itself, they really don't protect goalies very well. So I would not be shocked if he somehow escapes this.
Yeah, I mean, Alex Stalock went like full apeshit afterwards.
Well, I don't blame him. I don't blame him at all.
Yeah, I mean, he tore off his helmet and he went straight for Corey Perry. And you know what? Good on him, because he's had some rough injury history with concussions. And, this is a guy that drives his knee into his helmet. It's just ridiculous. The level
I don't like it.
Yeah, I don't like it either. And the level of respect that Perry shows that he shouldn't be allowed to play the game anymore.
I know. So it's funny though. I read something today, or I was thinking someone's like, oh, like he should just go play men's league or something. Like, no, man. Like, if you get hurt like that in a men's league game, you're screwed. No one's paying you to not you don't want to get hurt like that in a men's league game. I got to work the next morning.
Yeah, I mean, talk about a guy that let's just hope that the karmic retribution in the world is swift. You know what I mean? Swift and just. So that's all I got to say about that.
As long as that swift justice doesn't include Taylor, we'll be okay. The Sharks currently sit at 46 points. They are now 11 points behind Arizona for that second wild card spot.
Playoffs.
There are 4 teams in the Pacific that are at 57 points, with Vancouver leading the division at 58. So just to put in perspective where the Sharks are at this time, as their record is currently at 21-25-4 with 32 games to go. It likely means 25 wins would maybe pull a miracle rabbit out of your what to maybe make it.
They can by my math, they can lose 6 more games before they should be mathematically screwed.
Yeah, no, I think you're right. Ian. I think that's kind of what it is. And look at the standings right now. Make me depressed, not for the reasons that you guys think, but the further down we go, the further that we won't, that's just a higher draft pick that goes over to Ottawa at this point.
We are Ottawa, what Ottawa was to Colorado last year.
Yeah, exactly the same position. Hey, we need 4 more likes to be at Hurdle. Come on, people.
Yeah, we're at Vlasic right now. No one wants to be Vlasic right now.
Damn.
Okay, maybe they want to be Vlasic. I don't know. I'm just taking shots for the sake of taking shots now.
Yeah, I like Raphael Snit. 84 watching and just 45 likes. Let's hit 50. Yeah, that's, So come on. Come back from the break and they play Vancouver. Well, they also play Anaheim. But
we just need 2 more likes, people.
Come on, people.
Here they're gonna play Anaheim.
Yeah!
Next
Oh, we
week.
got him! Hey, we did it!
All right, you guys are awesome. All right, they're gonna play Anaheim next. Like, this team can't manufacture offense. Like, I'm supposed to feel good they're gonna play John Gibson. Well, maybe they'll play their backup.
They'll play John Gibson. Hopefully, he'll play the John Gibson that showed up for the All-Star. Oh, who the hell put those thumbs down?
Oh, that hurts my heart.
Wow.
Oh! It went away. I just saw it go away.
That's better. Okay, thank you. No,
Ah.
I hope the John Gibson from the NHL All-Star game shows up. Man, you talk about All-Star games that were just so disappointing. That's just...
Like, I would take a
Oh,
time
man.
off too. I mean, he was like he was like Aaron Dell in the first 2 periods, like for a whole half the season getting into the All-Star game.
Yeah.
I would, but by the time I get the All-Star game, I'm supposed to relax. I'm relaxing. I'm letting all the goals. Hell with it.
Just another Randy G. You're thinking what I'm thinking. Did I not call it near the start of the season? The Sharks are the new war team.
Oh, I don't know if they're that bad yet.
Yeah.
I guess
maybe-
the owner that actually talked for that to happen, right?
There's still enough there on the carcass, There's still enough meat to still be picked off those bones, so I wouldn't go that far. But call me in a couple seasons, then we'll kind of see where we're at.
Like Ottawa's, like their roster when that was said, like it was a team. It played in the NHL somehow.
Right. This is before they knew what they got in Brady Tkachuk and what
Sure.
we're getting on the back end and stuff with Shabbat. So I mean, I personally don't think the Ottawa Senators are going to be rebuilding for that much longer. Maybe another 2 or 3 seasons before they.
Depends, because you have a stupid owner there that's gonna you're doing here's the problem, right? They're in this perpetual thing where the owner doesn't want to pay anybody, so now you're probably talking about trading Pajot. Like, at some point you have to stop moving guys out and keep guys and build around guys. Like, that's the at some point you have to stop selling guys off.
At this point, I think if you're an Oiler or a Senator, and you're looking at am I going to be here or not because of my crazy owner, you're thinking, thank God the NHL has a cap ceiling, right, or a cap floor, right?
Seriously. I mean, Ryan McDonough doing something else. So, with that, I think we need to wrap this up and get out of here. In case you missed anything and you want to watch this again, check this out on tealtownusa.com or your favorite podcatcher, whether it's Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, YouTube, SoundCloud, Spotify, TuneIn, iHeartRadio, you name it, you love it. It's always available at tealtownusa.com. Of course, you can also hit us up on the Discord, where we'll be half awake and on our Discord chat in just a few minutes. So with that, let's close it up. Appreciate all the viewers. Immensely appreciate it all. We might have to do something during the week for something. I might have to drag these guys to, I don't know, Sharks Jeopardy or some other things we've had in the bucket that we haven't been able to touch yet, but we might have to do that and torture them just a little bit. So with that, we'll let this go. Erik Landi, Mr. Guy, who spells his name the right way, your final thoughts on where the people can find you.
I'm just a guy, with a good name, and
Damn right.
Going forward, I still want to be a part of this organization, and we'll see after the season ends who will still be here and who won't. I think that's kind of how his press conference went, right? Those are kind of my final thoughts. If you guys want to catch me on the social media, it's Erik Landi, ErikLandi, spelled the right way, spelled the Italian way. And find me on all the social media garbage.
And Ian, appreciate you coming on as well. You've always been telling it like it is, and I think you got some love. And apparently, you're a father to Randy G now. So congratulations on that.
I take care of all my kids equally. Ian blogs hockey on the Twitter machine. Again, if you want to go back and read my little article on selling the Sharks, it's a 4-part series on Teal Town USA. Go give it a look and yell at me on the Twitter machine.
And you can also find me at PuckGuy14 on the Twitter and the Instagram. It's like, look, you got to be with the team with the highs. You got to be with the team with the lows. No jumping ship. I don't need any of you to become Golden Knights fans like some people have.
Okay, yeah, but let's not. Okay, here's the thing though. Here's another thing though. Like, just be nice to each other. There's so much stupid stuff on Twitter now about like, oh, you're mad at the team. You're saying bad things about the team. Oh, you're not a fan anymore. If you were a fan, you'd be saying everything's awesome. Like, stop. Just don't keep fandom. You're no better of a fan than anyone else because you're dumb enough to think this is great.
Yeah, right. I mean, you're telling it like it is. Boy. Oh, boy.
John with the super chat donation. Happy Saturday
Thank
to you. Appreciate it as always. After Dark's on a break, we will bringing you more content a little bit, including Pucknologists, maybe a little something. We'll know. But I'll definitely be gifting the All-Star skills and game, and who knows on that after that. So appreciate it immensely. The conversation continues now on Discord for you, but after that, hit that subscribe button. Follow us on our social media. We appreciate each and every one of you. So until then, keep it real, keep it teal. Keep it real, Teal. Have a great break, everyone. We will see you on the 27th